This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
It's Barnes and Leslie and Fram. See that blinking light right there on the phone?
Yes.
We have a sex therapist.
We have a sex therapist on the phone?
We actually asked for someone, and they showed up. Love it. So we're going to get it. I want to ask about this Brooke Shields thing you just had in Sleaze.
Oh, yeah, we do need to ask
So
about
we'll meet whoever this sex therapist is. She may need a therapist because she listens to our show. So she may need a therapist on top of the therapy she already gives out.
Now, listen, you hear us all the time, all day, giving away free concert tickets. There is actually another way to get those tickets. If you have our app, download the 99X app where you can listen anywhere and also win free tickets. Metallica, Pearl Jam, St. Vincent, Filter, and more. You can go to the contest page at 99x.com or download the brand new 99X app.
Yeah, get the app because you can listen live in the app. I do that at the gym all the time. I put it on my app, and you can listen to Best of the Morning X or the podcast, both on there inside. Everything you need is inside the 99X app. Hey, Morning X, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Now, they say you're a sex therapist.
I am. My name is Samantha Hugan, and I'm a marriage and family therapist that specializes in sex therapy.
I love when we put the bat signal out and someone answers it. I like that.
Here I am.
Thank you, Samantha.
You're so welcome.
You heard the whole thing about Brooke Shields. And what is the deal? Is this a thing? If you missed the Sleaze a few minutes ago, what is the story, Leslie? She fakes asleep?
Yeah, in her new book, Brooke Shields is Not Allowed to Get Old. She talks about sometimes she fakes sleeping to avoid sex.
And some people were clapping back, saying that was kind of bad towards her husband. Sex therapist Samantha, what do you think?
So it's bad for both of them, essentially. When I first heard this earlier, I was just like, wait, why are we faking it? I have so many questions for her. She's not my client. I can't answer this.
Right.
But I can say, yes, this happens. Is it good? No. Sex is a connecting thing. It brings people together. It shows love, connection, unity, all of that stuff. So sex is ultimately a good thing. So when you're avoiding it, that means something else is going on behind the scenes.
Well, she does say that it's her age.
I'm assuming she is either menopausal or postmenopausal. I don't remember how old she is. So when that happens, again, if someone came to me and had this problem, my first thing is let's go get some lab work. Let's go talk to a professional. So as a sex therapist, there's things I can't do. I can do talk therapy, but I can't do like blood work, medication, anything like that. So I'd hook up a client with a doctor that could do that just to get a baseline of what's going on. Because if she's menopausal, then yeah, we can work with that. We can fix that. There's things to do for that, like HRT and like, again, talk therapy. So like, is it normal that she doesn't want it? Sure, that is a symptom of menopause, but it's not normal not to want it, if that makes sense. Like, that shouldn't be the case.
Is that a common thing? Do you hear from patients that women or men fake being asleep so they don't have to have sex?
I've heard it's stereotypical, but I've heard headaches or some physical ailments.
Yes.
And I have heard sleeping.
And
so yeah, it
faking
does happen.
sleep.
What are the biggest complaints now that we have you, sex therapist Samantha?
Yeah, exactly.
What are the biggest things that you hear are problems? Like, not emotionally. I'm just saying, like, what's the weirdest thing that's, you've sat down in your office and you hear something, you're like, okay, haven't heard that one before.
If you could share, yeah.
Well, so, okay, I'm going to answer it in two parts. The first one is a lot of people actually come in for anxiety and shame. So a lot of people think what I do is like all fun and games, but it's not. It's a lot of trauma work. It's a lot of work around shame and meaning making around sex and sexual activity. And then anxiety. The weirdest thing I ever heard was actually they never became my client. So it wasn't in the office. And I just want to say, nothing I've heard is weird. Everything is welcome here.
That was my word.
As long as there's, right, as long as there's consent and respect. But the one time that I was like, am I being punked? Is someone called the office. And they said they were a referral, which I was like, cool, right on, let's go. And they went into telling me about one of their favorite sexual activities, which was to go to a bar. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. and they would pick up cigarette butts. I was like, where are we going? And at this point, I was like, let's be professional. I was a baby therapist back then, and so I had just been fully licensed. So I thought, oh my gosh, I have to handle this correctly, or I'm going to get my license revoked. Like, what if the board finds out? So I'm like, all right, put my big girl panties on and just be like, yes. So what do you do with these cigarette butts? And they're like, yeah, I take them home. And I'm like, okay, are we cleaning, the bar up for a reason? And they're like, no, I take them home and I put them up my and I was just like,
oh no.
And you're sitting there with a straight face.
They put cigarette butts up there.
Yeah, that's what they said. And I'm so glad it wasn't an actual in-person interaction, because I would have lost the Academy Award. I would not have been able to keep it together. I was just like, oh.
I'm glad Queen isn't on right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Do you just stop at that point and say, what do you say to that?
So I did take a deep breath, because I was like not keeping it together. I just full transparency was not keeping it together, because I was like, is this punked? Like, am I being recorded? Like, is this something? Right. But I just said, oh. And the only thing I could think of to say was, well, are you doing it safely?
Oh, and were they? At least they're not lit? Yeah, they're not lit.
They weren't lit. I don't even recall at this point what their response was, but that is one of the strangest.
Wow.
Yeah, my top 10.
Whew, that is a weird one. Well, we'll have to explore it. What about, would you take, I know sex therapy is not cheap. Would you, if listeners had questions, could we do like a session with you, like maybe next week or the week after,
good
whatever?
idea, Barnes.
Would you do that?
Yeah. Let's not call it a session, right? Because these people would not be my clients per se, but I would be happy to help educate and answer questions and talk about stuff. I would love to do that.
What would we call it? No, if we can't call it a session, what's my hook? I need a hook, Samantha.
You put me on the spot. I'm a therapist, right? I'm like, ask a sex therapist would be great. Very simple. Very straightforward.
Ask a sex therapist. I like that. Okay. Well, thank you, first of all, for listening to our show and calling in. If you have a question, and we're happy to put you in the voice disguiser if you don't want to be, with your regular voice, and obviously you don't have to say your name, why don't you send us an email? That's the easiest way to do it, so we can choreograph and get a segment together with Samantha. Hi at themorningx.com. So hi at themorningx.com. If you don't want to come on with your voice, you can just send the question, and we can pass it through.
Yeah, exactly.
To Samantha. Where are you located? You said Alpharetta?
My office is in Alpharetta, yes. Alpharetta. Just off of 400.
Well, it's nice to meet you. Hold on. I want to get your info.
Thank you, Samantha.
We've not had an Ask a Sex Therapist. I do like that. Hold on. Nice to meet you. And most importantly, thanks for listening to The Morning X. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.
Hold on. Don't hang up. I got to get your number.
How cool that she was listening.
I love that. Thank you. Hold on.
Hey there. I'm Paula Pan, host of the Afford Anything podcast. Remember, you can afford anything, just not everything.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's true. I had some classmates who were struggling with FIFO and LIFO. They called it F my LIFO. But investing is so much simpler. Industries get paid to make you think that it's complicated.
They want you to think they're a wizard.
You're not Harry Potter.
You're a muggle.
Muggles are great too. No one here is anti-muggle. Afford anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.